Hello everyone, this will be our second video lecture, which will focus on the Module 2, Environment and Education. We are going to discuss the Lesson 1, Environment, Ecology, and Ecosystem. For the overview, the aim of the module is to enable you to understand some of the fundamental concepts, methods, and results in the scientific study of ecology, biodiversity, and the environment. We will see how plant and animal adapt and interact with their environment and how these interactions changes life histories and populations. Then we will focus on the interspecific competition and we will understand the avoidance of competition in a more common pattern in ecology than pure competition. At the end of this module, so the students are expected to describe the environment, ecology, and ecosystem and discuss some fundamental concepts, methods, and results in the scientific study of ecology, biodiversity, and environment. First, let's tackle the science of ecology. So the science of ecology deals with abiotic environment as well as the biotic living or the living organisms. So when we are talking with ecology, it always deals with the interaction between the non-living factor, which is the abiotic factor, and our living factors, which also known as biotic factors. The ecosystem, it is the individual communities of organisms and their abiotic environment. It encompasses all the interactions among organisms and their abiotic environment. For example, we have biosphere. To explain further, ecology comes from the Greek word oikos, means household, and logos means study or knowledge. It was first coined by Ernst Haeckel, a German scientist. And this ecology is the study of the relationship between organisms and their environment. Environment that includes not only the physical but also biological conditions under which the organisms live. We have two subdivision of ecology. We have the autecology and the synecology. Autecology, it deals with the study of individual organism. So in studying the individual organism, we study the life history, the behavior, the characteristics, and its adaptation to the environment. In the study of autecology, again, we focus our research or our study on the individual organism. On the other hand, we have your synecology. It deals with the study of the group of organisms which are associated as a unit in relation to its environment. Like we have here, we study the pack of zebra. In the ecosystem, there is an interaction of the community of organism and the physical environment. Thus, we define ecosystem as an integrated unit consisting of a community of organisms in the form of bacteria, plants, and animals, and the physical environment in form of water, air, soil, climate, and other abiotic factors. When we say environment, it is the sum of the external forces and conditions acting on the organism or community of organisms. we have two types of environment. We have the natural or the physical environment, which the surroundings are mostly provided by nature, such as the terrestrial environment, marine environment, or aquatic environment. On the other hand, another type of environment is the cultural or social environment. And this is actually more on human approach. Your cultural or social environment, it is the surroundings that are primarily those that are the result of human activities. Example, urban centers, tall structures or buildings and complex network transport system. So this is an example, or these are the examples of cultural or social environment. To summarize, regarding with the environment, it is the natural surroundings of that organism which directly or indirectly influence the growth and development of the organism. The surroundings in which an organism operates, including air, water, land, and natural resources, flora, fauna, humans, and their interrelations. The word environment is derived from a French word environ or environ. It is related to encompass or encircle. It is believed to have been introduced into the subject by a biologist in 1900s. According to American literature, these are the components of environment. The hydrosphere, that is mainly made up of water, the atmosphere, which is air, lithosphere, which is the land, the biosphere, which is a combination of the flora, fauna, and microbes, and the anthroposphere, which is made up of humans. I mean, man-made things. This figure here summarize the environment. The environment is divided into physical, biological, and cultural. When you say physical, this will include the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the lithosphere. When we say biological environment, this is a combination of the flora, the fauna, and the microbiota. And we have the cultural environment, which is the society, economy, politics, that is made up by man. Okay? Another slide, the components of environment as per British literature. Components are classified in terms of biotic and abiotic based upon life. The biotic components are further listed as producers, consumers, and decomposers, and abiotic components are classified as climatic and edaphic. So climatic, that means it is composed of water, air, and edaphic, which is land. It is from this component system that the study of structure of ecosystem was evolved. So in this illustration here, figure here, we separate the ecosystem into abiotic components and biotic components. As what I've said in earlier, in previous slides, abiotic components is composed of non-living factors. Your biotic components are living factors. When we say abiotic, these are physical, inorganic, either physical, inorganic, and organic substances. That means these are non-living factors. For physical factors, we have temperature, humidity, light, and atmospheric pressure. For inorganic substances, inorganic, that means uh, it does not usually have carbon. So water, oxygen, and nitrogen. While we have organic substances here, we have proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and these are macromolecules. We have here the biotic components. The biotic components, these are living factors, as what I've said. It is made up of producers, which are plants, consumers, and decomposers. Consumers usually are animals, including humans. Decomposers are these are microorganisms and also known as the saprophytes. The ecosystem here is from eco refers to a part of the world, and the system refers to a coordinating units. So the living organisms of a habitat and their surrounding environment function together as a single unit. Thus, we have ecosystem. Ecosystem is a naturally occurring assemblage of life in the environment. The life is referred to the biotic community, including plants, animals, and other living organisms. The term ecosystem first appeared in the publication by the British ecologist Tansley during 1935. And he said that the ecosystem may be or very different size, may vary different size. It may be a whole forest as well as small ponds. Ecosystem is an open system. It receives energy from outside source. That means primarily that's from the sun. As input, fixes and utilizes the energy by plants and ultimately dissipates the heat into the space as an output. An ecosystem has a physical environment or factors, biological components, and interactions between them. That is why it is called as ecosystem because of the interaction in the system. An ecosystem is characterized by a set of abiotic and biotic factors and functions. The organisms in an ecosystem are usually well balanced with each other and with their environment. That means there is balance in the ecosystem. What makes imbalance? Of course, there will be interaction of humans already. And we can observe that in our previous lecture, which has been already uploaded in our LMS. Introduction of new environmental factors or new species, this is what I am telling you, can have disastrous results, eventually leading to the collapse of an ecosystem and the death of many of the native species. One example of this introduction of new environmental factors or new species to the ecosystem that may lead to the death of our native species is that the introduction of the invasive species or plant and animal species to our ecosystem. One great example is that the toad that is from other countries introduced here in the Philippines. And we call it Hawaiian frog. That frog, but actually that is not a frog biologically. In biological lens, that is considered as a toad. Okay, this toad burrows in our soil and makes the integrity of the soil less and prone to soil erosion. Another example of invasive alien species is that mahogany tree. The mahogany tree is invasive, considered as invasive by the DANR because this mahogany tree we don't have microorganisms that can degrade rapidly the parts of this tree, especially the leaves, causing, of course, it covers the area where our native species will thrive. Okay, so the problem is that we are looking for a specific answer to our problem, but it seems this solution to the problem adds on the problem itself because I call it a half cook solution. Just like what is happening in our Manila Bay. What is the development of that Manila Bay? What happens there? They reclaim the area. Reclamation is not good to the ecosystem because what they are doing, they dump dolomite on it, and remember, these are artificial. And since it is artificial, it will destroy later on the life in Manila Bay, especially fishes, native species of fish, and other marine organisms. Now let's focus on the biotic factors or the living factors. Biotic factors includes all living organisms and their products. These are plants, animals, bacteria, fungi. Based on their activity, biotic components are classified into four categories as producers, consumers, transformers, and decomposers. So we all know that producers, these are organisms that produce their own food. Example, general example will be plants. So producers are considered as autotrophs. They actually make their own food through the process of photosynthesis. This food is used by the plants for its own energy or may be eaten by the consumers as a source of their source of energy. That's why without producers, animals cannot survive because plants are the only one that converts the energy, of course, from the environment to produce an organic material for stored energy for the plants and for the animals. Consumers or heterotrophs need to eat food that autotrophs have produced. And these are consumers, the herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. Herbivores, these are animals that eat plants. Carnivores, these are animals that eat animals. And omnivores, these are animals that eat both plants and animals. I guess these are very simple concepts of science. And these were introduced to you already in your elementary and in your high school. That's why I don't need to go deeper in it. Decomposers are also heterotrophs that usually break down the dead tissue and waste products. And they play a very important role in the ecosystem because they are the one that recycles the nutrients. Bacteria and fungi are the main decomposers. These are also called as saprophytes. These are saprophytic organisms. Means they recycle the nutrients. They decompose the nutrients. Another, we have your abiotic factors. Your abiotic factors, as what I've said, are the non-living components of the ecosystem. There are three categories: the climatic and physical factors, inorganic substances, and organic compounds. Let's talk about these things. The biotic factors determine the type of organisms that can successfully live in a particular area. Sometimes, or some of the major non-living factors of the ecosystem are sunlight, water, temperature, oxygen, soil, and air. So these are non-living factors that greatly influence the growth and development of the living factors in the ecosystem. So what are the functions of the ecosystem? Flow of energy through medium of living organisms and their activities. When we say flow of energy through the medium of living organisms and their activities, example will be the plants, photosynthesis, by production of the food for the plants and for the animals. Another process is that the breaking down of food by animals to produce carbon dioxide later on that can go back to the cycle. Food chains, that means the single flow of energy from producers to consumers to decomposers and go back to the environment. Biodiversity and biomass. That means biodiversity here refers to the diversity of living organisms in a specific area. Fourth, we have circulation and transformation of elements and nutrients. The circulation, that means cycle of elements and nutrients in the environment. Here we will discuss the biogeochemical cycles, but this will be in the next presentations. Fifth one is for the development and evolution, and lastly to control. Okay, to maintain the balance. Energy is also consumed by the autotrophs at cellular level for the reactions related to growth, development, maintenance, and reproduction. When we say cellular level, inside the cell. Then remember that living organisms has a cell, and the cell is the simplest unit of life, where biological processes occur. And these are very important. These processes are very important for the growth, development, maintenance, and for the reproduction of the living organisms to maintain its existence. The specific functional processes of an ecosystem includes photosynthesis, wherein there is a conversion of materials from the environment to produce another material, which is important for the living organisms, particularly to heterotrophs. Second, we have decomposition. And this decomposition, of course, is very important for the nutrient cycling. And in the decomposition, the main actors here are bacteria and fungi, as what I've mentioned in our previous slides. Third, predator-prey relations, or the herbivory, carnivory, parasitism, and lastly, symbiosis. So we will discuss this one by one on the next succeeding slides. Special relationship among species. We have the term competition. Competition occurs when two or more individuals attempt to use the same essential source. Let's say we have food, water, shelter, living space, or sunlight for the plants. Competition exists when one organism needs that resources for living. So, for example, your classmate wants to eat food and drink water, but the available food is good for one person only, and the number inside the classroom, maybe you are 30, so it is good for one person only, so the rest will not receive that food since they are 30. What will happen then? They will compete to receive that food and water. Second, we have predation. Well, but before we continue with the predation, let's go back to competition. In the competition, we have interspecific and we have intraspecific. When we say intraspecific competition, it is the competition that occurs between the two same species. Like, for example, two dogs needs to eat. They compete with the same species within the species. But when we're talking with your interspecific, it is a competition between different species. Like Cats and dogs will compete to a specific food, and that's intraspecific. Cats and dogs are different species, thus, when they compete for a food, that's intraspecific. For example, for plants, we have um, palay, for example, in our rice fields, the palay. And we have weeds. So both of these plants, the palay and the weeds, need nutrients from the soil and water from the soil. It's interspecific because the weed is different species and the palay is different species also. So that means it is interspecific. They completely the same essential source, but they are different species. Okay? Now, we have predation. Predation is the consumption of one species and by another species. So that means the one that is being consumed is the prey, and the one that is consuming is said to be the predator. It includes animals eating other animals, that is carnivory, and animals eating plants, that is herbivory. So what are the several adaptations to predator and prey interactions? Number one is that pursuit. For animals, pursuit, trait, a traits that increases hunting efficiency. For example, speed of brown pelicans and intelligence of orcas. So usually orcas hunt with their groups to to eat seals, for example. Ambush, a trap made by one species to attack its prey in surprise. This is an example wherein your yellow crab spider camouflage in a yellow flowers to hide its prey. So there is ambush, like what the lions and tigers are doing. They need to ambush their prey. As predators evolved, remember this, more efficient ways to capturing prey. The prey also evolved ways of avoiding predation. And that is what we call as co-evolution. So as the predators evolve more efficient ways in capturing the prey will later on evolve in to avoid predation. And one thing is that uh, known as your warning coloration, mimicry, and cryptic coloration. When we say mimicry, they mimic their environment. That means they camouflage in their environment for them not to be identified by their predator. When we say cryptic coloration, they usually produce a specific color or bright color that makes a statement, a strong statement to their predator that they are unpalatable or they are um, poisonous, like the poisonous frogs in other countries, especially in Amazon, that has a cryptic coloration. Second way is chemical defenses, wherein they produce chemicals to make their parts poisonous and unpalatable. For the plants, of course, they produce a specific chemicals so that animals can't eat them. For the animals, on the other hand, chemical defenses like skunks, they produce an awful smell to defend themselves from predation, from their predator. The third way is predator cessation. What do you mean about this? Um, Example is your crab and other lower forms of animals that produce hundreds, thousands, and millions of eggs and sperms to increase the percentage of their survival. So this is an example of predator satiation, meaning they increase their production of uh, of eggs and sperm for them to produce a lot of offsprings to increase the percentage of survival. Here, we will talk more deeper on this. First way, or warning, coloration, mimicry, and cryptic coloration. Bright coloration in insects and other animals like yellow, orange, and red, acts as signal warning that they are poisonous and distasteful. And this is aposematic. While we are talking with mimicry, it is advantageous resemblance on one species to another, often related to species or to a feature of its own environment. Cryptic coloration, it match the background or hiding camouflaging in front from predator or prey. Second way will be chemical defenses. It serves to repel or inhibit potential predators employed by arthropods, as what I said, lower forms of animals, amphibians, and snakes. It is also extensively by various types of plants. Third way, which is predator association, is timing for reproduction so that a maximum number of offspring are produced in a short period of time. So what will be the hunting ability of predators? Social hunting of lions and wolves. That means they are hunt by pack or pride of lion. Fangs of some snakes. Spider and their webs. Speed of predators like cheetah. So these are hunting abilities of predators. And I guess this will be the last slide for our lesson 1 of the module 2, which is environment, ecology, and ecosystem. Hope you learned something from this asynchronous session, and I am waiting for your feedback on the lesson. Thank you very much and keep safe, everyone.